Welcome to Desai Academy of class 9th. Second chapter is matter around us pure, right? So in our previous video we discussed that physical change as well as chemical change, right? We also discussed the meaning of physical change and the meaning of chemical change, and also discussed that what is the difference between physical change and chemical change, right? So you want videos of this chapter means please search in our playlist. You will get all the videos of this chapter. Okay, so what are the types of pure substance? Okay, already we know that meaning of a substance, it contain pure kind of single particles are called as a substance, means it contain pure kind of or one kind of particles in it is called as a substance, right? On the basis of their chemical compositions, substance can be classified either as elements or compounds. Remember that. So here the based on the chemical compositions, substance are classified as either elements or compounds. Okay, then what is the elements or compound means? Element is a single type of particles called as elements. Compound means there is a mixture of elements are called as compounds. Okay, elements means what? Single type of particles present in them. Like elements, example nitrogen is an example, oxygen is an element, because in this all particles are what? Nitrogen only, oxygen, all particles are oxygen particles only, so they are called as a single element, so it is called as what? Elements. Oxygen, carbon, copper, zinc, right? Iron, these are what? Examples of elements only. Oxygen, nitrogen, zinc, copper, carbon, iron, these are the same, these are the what? Called as elements. Then what? Compound examples, it is a mixture of elements are called as a compounds. For example, CO2, right? Carbon dioxide, it is a mixture of carbon and oxygen, it's called as a compound. Whenever two elements or two or more elements combined, that gives the compounds. Like another what we can call water also, right? Here hydrogen is mixing with oxygen, so it is also called as a compound. Again, so HCl, right? So HCl is an acid, hydrochloric acid, hydrogen plus chlorine. Again we can give the H2SO4, right? So hydrogen, sulfur and oxygen. S for sulfur, O for oxygen, H for hydrogen. So H2SO4 sulfuric acid. So these are called as what? Compounds only, right? Next about elements. Robert Boyle. Okay, remember the name Robert Boyle. Okay, Robert Boyle was the first scientist. Robert Boyle was the first scientist. Who is the name? Which one? Robert Boyle was the first scientist use the word element. Element word is used by whom? Robert. Okay, remember this name Robert Boyle. Robert Boyle was the first scientist use the word called element, right? In which year? 1661. Robert Boyle was the first scientist use the word element in which year? 1661. Remember that, right? Robert Boyle was the first scientist to use the term element in 1661, right? The first element term is used by whom? Robert Boyle, in which year? 1661, right? Next, Antino Laurent Lavoisier. What is Antino, right? Antino Laurent Lavoisier was the first scientist to experimentally given the definition of element, right? Antino Laurent Lavoisier, right? Antino Laurent Lavoisier given the definition of elements, and Robert Boyle was the scientist who given the name element. Okay, two different scientists comes here. So first Robert Boyle was given the name called element in the 1661, right? He is only given the name element, but experimental definition of elements is given by Antino Laurent Lavoisier. So remember that, right? Who is given the definition of elements? Antino Laurent. and the element name is derived by whom? Robert Boyle in 1661, right? Then what is the definition of element? We will discuss here. Okay, Antino Laurent Lavoisier, a French chemist, he was a mainly French chemist, was the first to establish an experimental useful definition of an element. Already I told that. So experimental definition of element is given by what? French chemist called the name as Antony Laurent Lavoisier, right? So then what is the definition of element? Means element is what? Basic form of matter. Element is a basic form of matter that cannot be broken down. Okay, what is simple definition is there? So element is what? A basic form of matter that cannot be broken down into what? Simpler substance in a chemical reactions. Element is what? It is a fundamental, right? Element is what? It is a fundamental or a basic form of matter that cannot be broken down, in a chemical reaction, so that is called as a element. Okay, basically he said that every matter is made up of what? Elements only, that elements cannot be broken down. Simply they are saying that. What is they are said? Every matter is made up of what? Fundamental is what? Element. This element cannot be broken down in a chemical reaction, he said. By whom? Antino Laurent Lavoisier. Okay, simple definition, he said. Element is what? Basic form of all matter that cannot be broken down into simpler substance in a chemical reaction. That is given by the which scientist? Antino Laurent Lavoisier. Next, elements can be normally, okay, elements can be divided into three parts. Element can be divided into three parts. One is a metal, right? Elements can consider as three parts. One is metal, second one the non-metal, right? There are three parts are there. So first one is metal, and second one is non-metal, third one is what? Metalloids. Second and third one is what? Metalloids. Okay, remember that. What are the three major parts of elements? Means we can easily say one is the metal, second one non-metal, third one was a metalloid. Okay, you already know about the metals and non-metals, right? So then what about the third one, the metalloids? Means so it is a also one type of substance, but they will shows the properties of both metal and non-metal. Meaning of metalloids means what? These are not different from metal and non-metal. These are the substance which shows the properties of both metal and non-metal. So that is they are called as metalloids. Means they showing both properties of metal as well as the non-metal, right? Okay, so elements can be normally divided into how many parts? Metals, non-metals and metalloids. Remember that, very important thing is there. Elements are classified into how many how many parts? One is metal, non-metal and metalloids, right? Remember that. Then what are the properties of metal? Means okay, metals are usually what? Shining in property, right? Shining, or we can call luster. Luster means what? Shining. Okay, whenever you see iron, copper, aluminum, silver, gold, they always shine, they always show shining property, luster property. Then means we can say easily metals are always what? Shine, correct? Or else having lustrous property, and they have silvery gray color and golden yellow color. Okay, remember that metals always shine, and they present in two colors. One is a silvery gray, otherwise in golden yellow. They will silvery gray, right? Otherwise golden yellow. Metals are having shining property. The metals present in silvery gray or a golden yellow, and they conduct heat and electricity. Okay, very important point. It is also metals are always what? Good conductor of heat and electricity. So that is why copper wire is used in the electricity, because copper is a what? Metal only. So copper, Cu is what? Copper, right? So copper is a metal, so it is a good conductor of heat and electricity, right? All metals are good conductor of heat and electricity, and they are ductile. Okay, metals are what? Ductile. They can be they can be converted into, derived into, drawn into what? Wires, correct? So we are using copper wires. The copper is a what? Metal, so it can be converted into what? Thin wires. So it is also one property of metals only. Copper is a metal. What is the property of metal? The metals can be derived into form out of wires, that drawing of wires is called as what? Ductile. Okay, remember that. What is the metals can be drawn into what? Ductile. Ductile means what? They are converting into wires, right? Next, it is called as a ductile. And metals can be converted into sheets. Metals can be converted into sheets. That property is called as what? Malleable. For example, aluminum sheets, copper and copper sheets. Okay, we are for making houses, copper sheets and aluminum sheets for what? Office works. Okay, like that we are doing because of what? Metals can show the properties of what? Ductile, like wires, and sheets like what? Malleable property. Okay, remember that they can be malleable and they can be ductile property. So metal can show the ductile property, means they can be drive into wires. Malleable property means they can drive into sheets, right? Okay, so copper can be ductile. Copper means metals can be ductile, and metals can also malleable property. They will shows the both property of ductile and malleable. And they are also shows the sonorous property. Sonorous property means whenever uh, sonorous means whenever we hit the metal with hard, they will produce a sound. So that property having by the metals. Okay, for example, in your school, the school after the first period, the lady or the other workers will hit the metal and sound will be spread across the school, right? So why? Means the metals harden with any surface with hard, so it will produce a sound. That property is known as what? Sonorous only, correct? So these are the properties of what? Properties of metals. What are they? Again, we will repeat in a short period of time. So first, metals are what? Metals are what? Good conductor of heat and electricity. We can write randomly. Okay, heat and electricity, right? Second point, they having what? Silvery gray color or golden yellow color, right? Silvery gray color or a golden yellow color. Again, they having a malleable property, right? Ductility property and sonorous, right? These are the properties of what? Metals only, correct? These are the property. Another point is what? They having what? Luster property. They are having what? Shining property. Understood? Okay, these are the some what? Example, sorry, properties of metals. And we can give the examples of what? Different types of metals. Okay, gold, right? Okay, gold, right? Gold, silver, copper, right? Sodium, potassium, mercury. These are the examples of what? Metals. Mercury, potassium, sodium, silver, gold, and copper. Okay, these are the examples. You can give also iron and zinc. Okay, these are the examples of metals. Okay, understood? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe my channel, and please search in our playlist. You will get the all videos of class 9th. Thank you.